everyone? Welcome back to the stream. I hope you guys are doing fantastic whenever you watch this, if you watch this. And today, Austin and I are going to be talking about a movie called Love, Simon. Uh, some quick facts about it before we begin. Also, there will be spoilers, just FYI. So if you haven't seen it and you want to watch it, just watch this later. Watch the stream later since we're going to be spoiling parts of it. But in any case, yeah, a couple of fun facts about this film. It's a 2018 American romantic comedy drama film. It's directed by Greg Berlanti, and it is based on a novel, Simon versus the Homo sapiens Agenda, by Becky Albertalli. So the film stars Nick Robinson as the main character, Simon Spear, Josh Duhamel, yeah, as his father, Jack Spear, and then Jennifer Garner as his mother, Emily Spear, and then as other prominent roles include Catherine Langford, and she plays Leia, who is one of Simon's best friends. She was actually was also in Knives Out, which is the previous film we had watched.
Funny how all this overlap.
There's a lot of overlap. Yep. And let's see. Alexandra Shipp plays Abby Suso, also one of Simon's friends, and then George Lendenborg Jr. plays Nick Eisner, also one of Simon's best friends. There's other characters, but I would just say those are like, the main ones. There's a lot more. You can go on the Wikipedia page. I'm just reading off the Wikipedia page, so if you just go to the Wikipedia page, you'll find these facts. Just a quick little fun fact. George, the guy who plays George Lendenborg, who plays Nick Eisner, he's actually in the Spider-Man films for the MCU. He plays one of Peter Parker's classmates.
Really?
So, yep. The guy in the news anchor, he's one of the news anchors. People. Yeah.
That's right. Very minor.
Yeah, very minor. But that's just a little bit of a fun fact. Anyway, let's get started talking about this film now that we've gone through those facts. Austin, let's just Austin, how'd you feel overall about the film?
It's interesting. It's an interesting film. I think it's kind of, they kind of classify as a rom-com, romantic comedy, but I don't know if I would. There's much comedy elements. It's definitely like a drama, right? A coming of age story that focuses on Simon and his own identity and revealing that and the troubles and tribulations that go along with it. So I think it does have an important message, but it has all the kind of the same elements just like as a regular drama, and sometimes it feels like the drama might be a little bit forced, but overall I think the messaging and story was good. Enjoyable story, but again, as I said before, I think just there's just some parts where I think it's maybe a bit exaggerated or just a bit forced, and just doesn't feel like I don't know if authentic is the real word, just the word I'm looking for, just natural, I guess, like how some parts of the story goes. But overall, I think it's a good watch. Nothing too, I think, stellar. Like all this is like outstanding. It's just I think a regular, kind of fair movie. Just to watch, enjoy, and just to see how the drama plays out and how these characters react to each other. So, enjoyable experience, but just that there's some parts I think I definitely could see where vast improvements can be go. And as far as a movie that is for or that has representation for the LGBT community, I think it does wonders just to show this kind of just have this representation in this kind of in this form, in this media, and having this kind of love story, which might be kind of I guess trite, just if it's between a male and a female, and just go after the focus of just a regular straight couple. But I think this just adds a just because he's gay, just gives you a little bit different element, a different perspective of where the story goes. So it lends some original form there. But
Hmm.
overall, I think it kind of beats, it kind of hits all the beats of a regular romantic drama, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, essentially, like you mentioned the whole like, yeah, if it were, I think if it were portraying like if Simon were straight instead of gay, the only difference that I could see for this film would be the different reason for like from a storytelling perspective, like the thing that would fundamentally have changed for this film if Simon were straight would be the reason for him being blackmailed.
Right, that's
Because
true.
you can't get blackmailed being like, oh my god, this guy is straight and has a crush on this person. Like no
Yeah.
one's gonna care about that, right? Um, because it's pretty common.
Yeah.
But like him being gay was the whole like crux of why there was all this drama to begin with between his friends and
Right.
you know his um the circumstances with which people got like found out in his school.
Yeah.
So if he were straight, like the story could have played out more or less similarly, except for that one very important detail,
Which is probably, I think that the
which is like basically what the film was all
the
about. So like it would be a fundamentally different film.
yeah. I think, yeah. I feel like, this movie, well, it was, filmed during 2018, so I think it's a
Yeah,
little bit more progressive time, right? And
yeah,
I feel like, um, okay, so it's in Georgia. I was gonna say Atlanta, Georgia, but I feel like the area seemed progressive enough
hmm
that I don't feel like there's any like high stakes um,
hmm
from it. It's all pretty much internal,
You
right?
mean
Which
high stakes isn't like life and death? High stakes?
not just like I feel like like he talks about like fears, kind of like social suicide and all that, but or like
Mm-hmm.
ostracization. But
Hmm.
I feel like the movie showed that his family was pretty supportive, his pretty liberal, like his friends are
Yeah,
also pretty supportive. There
yeah,
everyone's
yeah,
like diverse and whatnot. The
yeah,
school
yeah.
itself was pretty open. I feel like, and except for like just two people really who's boy, but everyone else is pretty open, and they already have someone
Yeah,
who's out in the open, right? Like
yeah.
who So I feel like him trying, fearing, like coming out, it was more of a personal struggle.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that it warranted like all the drama that went along
Hmm.
with it,
Hmm.
or maybe it just wasn't. I feel like expressed well enough that I felt like
Mm.
sympathetic. Like not. I mean, I cared like this guy. He didn't want his secret out,
Hmm.
but at the same time, like if it came out, I don't think it would have been like the end of him.
Right, right, right.
Um,
Yeah, I, it was very like lighthearted. Like, oh, the film wasn't
yeah,
like
it wasn't heavy.
it could have been much heavier,
Yeah,
in a different setting. Like if it was like his family was just like I don't know, really not into you know him coming out,
like
or his
conservative.
friends
Or,
were
yeah,
like, yeah, if his friends family were super conservative about the whole thing, like that could have been like a lot more um like darker. Like it could have
yeah,
been a lot darker. But I don't know. I kind of got the feeling like in the very beginning it sort of gave you. I think the film did a good job of setting the tone in the very beginning
that's true.
because
Yeah,
it was like he was doing like a monologue of sorts, being like, oh yeah, I'm like I'm just like you, except I have this like secret,
one secret. Yeah,
and you find out that secret really it's implied very early on, so it's like
yeah,
um to me at least I knew I was like from that very beginning, like if I had not seen anything about the film or knew anything about it, which I kind of didn't. The only thing I really knew about this film was that it was, I think it was like a rom com. That was part of the genre of the film. So like,
hmm,
I guess that's pretty important in terms of like what I'm supposed to be expecting. But like, had I not known anything, I feel like I would have still gotten that impression that it was pretty
yeah,
lighthearted. With this undertone of the you know, him being gay as being like part of the spurring the main plot of the story. But like
hmm,
I yeah I yeah I mean had this film it would have been a very different film had it been like way more serious.
Right.
They would have basically gotten rid of the comedy part, essentially. Would have been more of like a very much more like a drama.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think overall, I think it was over. It was yeah, it was like a decent film for sure. Like I there were definitely it evoked emotion from me at some points, which was good. Like the part where um the guy who blackmails him, I like forget his character's name.
Oh, what was his name? Martin.
Martin, yes. When he interrupts the national anthem, and then like basically it was like asked Abby out. I was like, I cringed. I couldn't
Yeah.
like even though it was completely like
That
scripted.
moment you're supposed to cringe. The whole audience is cringing, right?
Yeah, I just yeah, it was like even though it was all scripted and like it wasn't like you know in real life or anything like that. I still had that feeling of like, oh my god, why is this dude
Secondhand embarrassment, right? Just
secondhand
like watch
embarrassment?
again.
Exactly. So that was good. I mean, it definitely evoked the right emotion on that
Yeah.
for that scene, and then also like I'm a big sucker for like family relationships. Like
Oh
whenever there's a
yeah.
family relationship being expressed fondly, or
Yeah.
there's like this implied like strength of relationship
Yeah.
through few words. Like that scene where his dad asks, like his dad is pulling up the lights,
Oh
and he
yeah.
asks Simon to come over, and then they just have like a chat, and he like he's like apologizes for like all the jokes he made, should have known, and then they like hug it out, and I was like, damn, that scene is like I was like I felt something with that just because those scenes I'm like really I really appreciate those kind of scenes where like there's affection for each other. They come to an understanding and there's affection for each other, but it's not like super in your face. It's not like oh my
Right.
god, like it's not super sappy. Um, and I thought that scene was well done in that regard. So
Hmm.
um, yeah,
But with that scene, I feel like the reason for it coming to be, I don't know if it felt like genuine because like the father when the news was first revealed kind of looked like they portrayed it as him being upset, right?
yeah,
But I
he
don't know.
was probably the most taken aback at least. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
and I don't know if that really felt like oh like why is he like it's not that I mean they being portrayed like he didn't he like like regretful or didn't like it, but I don't think that was the case at all, right? But
hmm
just the way that they portrayed it was just like I don't think like they should have it should maybe portrayed maybe a little differently, but they made it seem like the father was not as accepting or
yeah,
just like in disbelief and
yeah,
in shock, and I just felt like I don't know like depending on his character, this guy who's like emotional, I thought he'll come out be more accepting and more loving, maybe apologetic at the time, but he just was like oh not having at least the way that he was portrayed like not having it. It's just like oh I was like
hmm
it didn't seem like that's part of the family like how he was portrayed previously. And so like I feel like that moment that build up like for me it didn't feel like as earned just because I feel like it was kind of like that the father like father never like hated that decision. It was just like that's just how they portrayed it. That they wanted to have this drama of like this kind of
mm,
rift,
I
and I don't
see,
know if the rift really should have happened.
I
Um,
see. Yeah, I see what you're saying. There could have been more build up toward it. It was more of like it was just like yeah, he came out and then his dad kind of like made some comments and then like probably wasn't he was probably he reacted the most strongly I would say out of
yeah,
the
he did.
family, and then he like walked out, and then there was this like not like I guess this like just this there's tension in the room in terms of like Simon never just he always like never like talked or was open to talking to his parents, like he kind of shut himself in a little bit, um, and at some point because I mean I guess yeah I guess his parents kind of try to give him space and whatnot, there was no like pro- aggression. Like it was just more like it was just like stuck in this state of like them not talking to each other for some amount of film.
Right.
And then at some point like oh yeah they reconcile. And but like yeah it would have been yeah I could see like it would have been nice to like sort of see a progression of this subplot, you know, with his relationship with his family. Um, but oftentimes I feel like it, you know, sometimes it just, you know, like it, when something is, when there's tension between individuals, oftentimes it doesn't, there's not a lot of like, it's not like gradual conversations lead to like, oh yeah, we're like getting over each other sort of thing, or like oh yeah,
Yeah.
we're clearing the elephant in the room. Sometimes it just like it all happens all at once. It's like oh yeah, like once everyone's ready, you can lay the cards on the table and then sort of go through everyone's like qualms or concerns. So like, I like I'm not yeah it's a yeah I don't know it could have been maybe it could have been better portrayed leading up to that point, but I think it's not unreasonable how that happened.
I guess, right? Because they did portray the father as saying all these kind of different microaggressions, right, in the beginning, right, in the
Hmm.
movie, and like
Yeah,
and
yeah. He
his
made all these
comments,
jokes
right?
about like,
Um,
"Oh, it's your
and yeah,
girlfriend." Yeah, some
right.
stuff. Yeah,
But
yeah,
I just feel like him walking out like that, and just the way that was portrayed, it felt like he was against it all, and I don't think that was really the fact. I think it's just I don't know, but I kind of
mm,
I see your point, right? That it didn't like there maybe just from my own perspective it just seemed weird that the father who always seemed so loving, right, and always seemed like kind of agreeable, just like
yeah,
because of this revelation
yeah,
kind of does a 180 and just like
yeah.
like walks out instead of being supportive, and maybe that's just him coming to terms with it, right?
Oh,
But
you
it was
so
just
you.
kind of
Oh, okay, so you're more taken aback by the fact that he just walked out instead of trying to be more like supporting.
right,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
yeah, and I think it could have been maybe shown different, like how he was portrayed in the beginning of the movie, just like maybe more against it, or like I know he already said jokes, and that makes sense, right? But I just feel like he was always shown as this kind of very supportive father. He
Yeah.
said, "Oh, my dad's like the football star," but he's also very emotional, right?
Right.
He seems
Right.
like he comes off as a character who is very empathetic,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. Right.
So at this point, when the son reveals it to him, I feel like you know it's a big change for the father, maybe just to learn about that. Maybe he feels guilty, but there's just the fact that he walks out. It kind of portrayed the film as being against the decision, or not accepting, or not very comfortable, right? And
Yeah.
which could be the case, right? But it's just kind of strange and how that was portrayed. And I kind of agree, right? They kind of portrayed it at the beginning like, oh, he made all this. Maybe he's trying to reflect on it, but the way he was portrayed at that moment, the whole scene, it seemed like he was very very hostile.
Hmm.
And maybe I think maybe the air was cleared later in the movie. I think it could have been like him being apologizing, not being maybe seeing as not being supportive. Um, but it was just weird at the moment that the father, I feel like because the whole family was always seen as someone who they all support. And even in the Simon says that if I've ever revealed to my family, they generally will be open and supportive about it. So the fact that their father does this, it's kind of, I feel like, forced, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
just it's drama that maybe is not needed or was not crafted to fit that moment. I think it could have been handled a little bit differently, a little better
I see.
at that point.
Okay. How would you just increase the screen time of his family?
Yeah, increase the screen time, or just maybe even change like the way that the father viewed the LGBT community in the
So
beginning,
it would have
and then
been like more again, like if he had kept the
maybe
same reaction.
more against, or a little bit more, yeah, maybe more against it, not hostile, right, to
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
right, but just being like I think a little, we see a joke there, here and there, but I think maybe to, be more disparaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just like, oh, what is there? He maybe doesn't understand. He doesn't see the point of it all, right? Maybe he sees something like the news, or someone talks about it, or they overhear a conversation. He comments to his son like, I don't get it. Like, why do they care about it? It's not until the son reveals it, oh, it kind of hits him, like he said all these things and he understands. So I think show it, not that the father being has to be hostile, right? Just being more, I guess, a lot more apathetic to the cause, like not to the cause, to the whole idea of LGBT, right? Like it doesn't really affect him because it's not personal. He doesn't know anybody, so the father might be more. I mean, yeah, he says a joke here or there, but I think it's all good fun ribbing. But I think if we see his personal belief, right? Because not just joking wise, but just like having a serious conversation with his son, just like I don't get like just like talking about it like offhandedly, just like making a comment about it after they see something. I think would show the father is just like, oh yeah, like he doesn't really care, doesn't really understand about this, and then it's not until the son maybe reveals it, he's like, oh, maybe I messed up, and then he now he takes time to reflect, and it makes sense that he walks out, right? Because he's like, oh, I have to reconcile the fact that my son is gay, that I've said all these things before to him, and now he wants to reconcile at the end of the movie where they come together. I'm sorry, I said all these things, but I still love you for who you are. There's really big a difference of what happened. I just feel like there's just one or two jokes beforehand, and I think, but yeah, this movie was already pretty long, so maybe that consider wise, it never really felt that long, but I just feel like that could have been picked. And again, this is just like one small issue. It's not really like even the biggest issue I have with the movie, right? There's other things I have with this movie, but but that portion, I just thought like it was kind of a little bit too forced and not as earned, like that moment with the father is not as earned. It didn't really emotionally resonate with me, right? When they reconnect or when they reconcile.
Wow.
At the Christmas light scene.
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah, yep. Yeah, I think I understand your point. But I think I guess you mentioned that there's a bigger issue with the film. I'm curious what you think is the bigger issue of the film. I have a suspicion. There are some parts that are also on my mind, and they concern. Well, I don't know how big of an issue it is, but I felt like with his friends there was like some aspect that I didn't find super believable.
Yeah. 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 I don't know if we're thinking the same thing, but
okay.
Yeah. Like,
wait. Let's hold on. Are we talking about like their reaction?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I was like, why are they're so okay for like having like I can understand that this is the reaction toward like finding out that Simon was trying to like keep them apart, right?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. Yeah, so
keep them apart and then put the other
page.
two together.
Put the other two together. Okay, we're on the same page. All right, yeah. So I have a couple of things to say about that. Then you can go on because I thought that was over. Again, it's understandable. I can totally understand the reaction that they would have because he's hiding something from them, right? He's like preventing them from being like, achieving their own ways of their own happiness. I guess he's like a blocker essentially, an obstacle. But he has a reason for that, right? And he explained that reason. And he's like going through a lot, and my impression was that like it's like if I were in their shoes, I would have totally understood. I would have like, all right, that's fine, like because you guys end up together anyway. It's some time lost, whatever. But like this dude is like literally like he had his whole secret revealed. He like is explaining why this happened in the first place, and he's like, he's living. He's like, yeah, and the fact that he like he's gay and probably like has a lot of pushback from that, like as evidenced by the two kids in the cafeteria. Right. So there's like a lot more like issues going around with him, and then all of a sudden, like his friends were just like, "Oh yeah, I got offended because we could have been end up together sooner," and I was like, "All right, well, I'm sorry. Like you guys have been friends for like however many years. Okay, I can understand Abby because she wasn't a friend. She came later, but like the other
Six
two."
months.
The other two, 13, was that 13 years? I think I said 13 years in my
Yeah,
Wikipedia page.
yeah, they were like since
13 years? Like,
yeah.
man, if I were in their shoes, I would have been like, oh, yeah, I'm here for you. Like, I wouldn't be like, yeah, get on, Lola, you lied to me. You're such a
Yeah.
you're such a bad person.
Yeah.
I thought that was overreacted, but and which is like added to the over. I guess is adding to the whole like over dramatized part. Is that what you're
Yeah.
suggesting?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. I think that was my bigger gripes because again, like you have these friends who are supposed to be with him as you covered it all. Like they're supposed to be there for him, right? And it just kind of feels weird because this guy, as you said, feels just outed. You know,
Yeah.
as being gay,
Yeah.
fears isolation, and they
Yeah.
all isolate him anyway. But not because he was gay, but because of you know what he done, and the reason why he did all these actions, these kind of schemes, just to protect himself because he was being blackmailed, and no one
Blackmailed.
takes the time to understand, even though he says
Yeah.
they witnessed it, right?
He
He was
was
being revealed.
blackmailed. Come on.
Like usually think they'd be more understanding. Like, yeah, I think they could have just been, like, yeah, still support him and maybe have a conversation and talk later, like, what you did wasn't, right and whatnot, but still unhappy, but I'm still here for you. But at that moment, it just felt like you would think, like, in his like this is like his lowest moment, and Leia even calls him, right? Like, look, check out the post, and it's like, well, don't I feel like they should have cared a bit more about like what's happening to him because he obviously very very bothered
Right.
by it. He wasn't going to answer anybody, and
Yeah. I think maybe part of it had to do with the fact that he kind of ignored everyone, and for like 2 weeks over the winter break, I think, or something like that. He like ignored his family, he ignored his friends. He was just like, just to himself, and maybe like that might have contributed to his friends kind of like being butthurt because they're like got ignored. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's understandable. Like the initial reaction would have been like, I would be like, oh, why did this guy like, try to sabotage our relationships and all that stuff? But like, I would have for sure forgiven them had I heard his reasoning, which they heard. Anyway, it's.
I mean, they figured it out, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it would have been just overreaction, right? And it's just more drama than needed to be, or just drama that again does not feel like it belonged, or it just felt out of place, right? It could have been either crafted a bit better, like I don't know if crafted a bit better, like because these are supposed to be his friends, right?
Yeah.
Who've been with him for very
right. But the point, I guess, the
very,
film
very
was
long.
the film
right.
was.
Abby could have been the one who.
Oh yeah, go on. Sorry.
I was gonna say, I think you're right. Maybe more drama could have been with Abby. Maybe she doesn't understand because she's from a more liberal. Like she was from DC, right? So maybe it doesn't connect with her, like what he was doing, and she maybe have found it more unacceptable. But his other two friends, definitely I think should have been like, coming for him, supporting him, especially during the lunch cafeteria scene, right? Like everyone's just watching this happen, which is kind of sad. But then I think you see them feel bad, and they are going to I think about to do something. But it's the teacher. But like they kind of left him ostracized, isolated in a moment of his lowest point. His lowest point, they weren't there for him, right? And that felt like generally left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, I think that's the direction that he was supposed to be portrayed as, like alone, like on his own. And to sort of like come to terms that he is gay, and he's okay with showing it off. Eventually, like he makes that post to the internet and reveals like, oh yeah, this is me, take it or leave it. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know how like if the film was suggesting them to be alone, like basically like his sort of friends reject him and his family rejects him, or like he rejects his family or something like that. Like if the friends were meant to like be really mad at him for something, I can't think of a better way that that could have happened? Like, unless he blackmailed. Well, why would he? I don't know. Because they felt betrayed because
Yeah,
he was hiding something. But like, yeah,
it's a hard to know, right? Because you're right. The director probably wanted to as you said, make him seem alone, right, and
yeah,
just make him feel isolated and ostracized. But
yeah.
I don't know. It's just I don't think he was right. That's the thing, right? He was always in a supportive environment. That's what goes to my beginning, right? Like he was
Hmm.
always in a community that he's in Atlanta, which is a pretty liberal area, right, in the city, in a school that seemed restored except for the two people, and maybe the vice principals, a little bit, had a little, these misconceptions and stereotypes, and and his family was supportive. Like like everyone around him always seemed supportive of him, right? And just so that's when these turns happen, it just feels like why are these turns happening? Like if he was in a more hostile area, like maybe instead of an urban area, more suburban or more rural, right? Maybe a little more sense. Having it said more than just two students, right?
Hmm.
Bully or ostracize maybe a little bit more sense. But here, it just felt like everybody, like again, there wasn't as many high stakes, and everything just felt like they just raised the stakes,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
did not really come to terms with it, and how they changed it, how many friends, because maybe just showing like maybe it's him who's self isolating and he's ignoring everybody else, and
yep.
people have to
It
try to
could have.
break into him,
Yeah, it
right,
could have. It
instead of
could have.
him,
Yeah,
people breaking away from him. He could have been like, because he felt ostracized and he felt isolated and he felt bad, maybe he feels guilty. And then it's about acceptance. Like, oh, you don't have to feel bad for being gay.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
okay. This is how it is, and you have people who love you and support you.
yeah,
Maybe it's just his misconceptions, right? Just isolating himself and whatnot. And then his friends coming to him and says, yeah, what we should do is wrong, but we still love you in any way, and you can't just do this to yourself, and we're still here for you, right?
yeah,
So
yeah.
has friends actively reaching out to him instead of the other way around. If it's have friends, isolating him and then coming back to him, it's just like, well,
Right, right. I think. I mean, that's kind of what happened with him and his family. Like
yeah,
I don't think his family necessarily rejected him. He kind of like shut himself away from his family.
yeah,
And then his friends act like yeah, kind of rejected him actively. So like, yeah, I think you mentioned a good point. Maybe like he just avoids his friends and family. Like he was already avoiding his family. Like could have just tried to avoid his friends.
did his friends
Like
as well.
like his friends are waiting for him to pick him up, and he just doesn't pick him up.
Drives by.
He drives by, yeah. He grabs the coffee alone.
That would have been a very emotional or very poignant scene, right? You're just grabbing one cup of coffee, right? Because there's a scene
I
where he
mean,
gets
he no, he
four,
already
and then
he already there was a scene like that where he just grabs one.
was he? Just well, I didn't recall, but yeah,
Yeah, there was a scene after there was, but this was after his friends got mad at him.
I see.
They're like he was like, well, I think whatever his name, Nick or something was like, "I'll drive you, Leia," or whatever. And then
Oh, right.
Simon's like, "Oh," and then he goes to the coffee and he gets only one. He only gets one, or maybe that was a later scene. That was after that. So yeah, like maybe it could have been yeah, just more internal, but then there would have been less drama, you know.
That's true. Yeah, that's the point of watching this movie, right? There's no drama.
But yeah, I think that part was a little bit over dramatized. I agree with that for sure. Um, yeah, there's a couple of fun little things that fun little are like well, a bit of my thought processing behind some of the scenes. And where I thought the film might have been going because there was one scene in particular where I was like, wait a minute, is this how it's going to unfold? And the scene I'm talking about is when they're at the Halloween party. So like when Abby comes over and she's like dressed as Wonder Woman, right? And she's like, um, yeah, she reveals her costume.
Yeah,
There was the reaction of the friends. So like I don't know how much you remember, but like Nick's reaction was like, "Oh, whoa!" Like, looks great. I think Simon's was like, "Yeah, looks good." Like he's um,
Yeah, she's hot. Like, I was
no, Simon was just like as a friend, just like, "Yeah, that's a great costume." And then, but Leia's reaction, that one interested me most, and I don't know how you remember, but she looked taken aback, like she looked shocked.
yeah.
Do you remember this?
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
Like, she
all
was
right.
like, "Whoa,
She was like,
wow."
"What?" And like to me, if I were so, I was probably reading into it way too much. I was reading into it way too much because why would you be shocked at like, oh my gosh, like why is she appears so like stunning or something? Like as a friend, I would have been like, oh, great costume, like that looks so good. But like
Yeah.
she just looked completely shocked, like as in like holy smokes, like shocked like Nick shocked. And I was like, wait a minute. Is she gay too? Like what if she was blue? Because we never really we didn't know
Oh, yeah.
like whether or not blue was. I don't think at that point we knew if they were like if blue was male or female, right? Like there was no like
Well, they said that they were gay. I mean, and yes, gay can be like
gay could
like a
be
general
a
term,
term, yeah, general
right?
term,
Right.
right?
But I think usually, and here the context was like, oh, he says it's gay, so we all assumed that's. But you're right. It could have been like, oh, I'm gay, but
Yeah,
it
yeah,
could
yeah.
But yeah, you're right. It could have
I
been.
was interpreting gay at that point. It's okay. I was kind of fitting it's this story and like if this was the direction that they were going. Like I was like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, they said they were gay, but like gay could be a general term. Like gay could imply like just same sex
Yeah.
attraction. So like
Mm-hmm.
I was like, wait a minute, is this where they're going with? Like that would be like so interesting, right? Because then because I mean to me since it's a romantic part, like a romantic comedy sort of and drama, like it's suggesting that Simon will be romantically interested in someone by the
Yeah.
end of the film. But like, what if that person is like just his friend who is also like gay,
Yeah.
in a general sense, but like that would have been like whoa, like that would have
if
been
it adds a different element, you're
it
right.
definitely
It
would
would
have
be
added a
very
different
interesting.
element, yeah. Because then it would have been sort of like twofold acceptance. It's like, wait a minute, you're hiding something from me, I'm hiding something from you. And I think it would have been like, it could have actually been a lot, like, it would have been less romantic and way more, I could have totally seen it as more comedic in a sense. Like when the reveal happens, they're like together and then they both think that they're like interested, like the other person is interested in them, and they both are like, wait a minute, I'm not like that. And she's like, it's like, I'm not like that either. And you're like, wait, you're gay? Like, I'm gay. Anyway, I think it could have been like a way, like that could have been like had they would have fundamentally changed the film,
It would,
of course,
yeah.
but like, I for me, I just like envisioned that part like that would have been like hilarious to me if they were going to go with that path, and it would have been like. It would have been like, oh, I knew it because like the scene where she was like reacting in a certain way, and I was reading way too hard into it, way too much into it. But like it made sense if you like, it was a foreshadow, but
Yeah.
that didn't happen at all. As evidenced by like later on in the film when she goes back to his place, and it was very heavily implied that she liked him.
She liked him. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I don't know if you like. Did you see the same thing I did? Like, did you?
I did. Yeah,
okay,
yeah. No,
right.
I definitely because like that first scene where I agree. Like when she was like, as you said, taking it back, I was like, is she also?
Okay. All right. Okay. Cool. So I wasn't the only one.
Because she you're right. She seems so shocked and like in awe. I was like, oh, like is this? And then when they're dancing at the party, I was just like, she was just like awkward. I was like, huh. Yeah, no, I was also putting, these things, I think, crafting an image or crafting a storyline myself at that point. I don't know if I was exactly saying that she was the blue, right? But, but it, that wouldn't have like it would, you know, if that happened, I'd be like, oh, that's an interesting twist to the story, and how would they, you know, how do they, you know, get around that? You know, but he uses the name Jacques, right, which is, you know, a very masculine name. So either, you know, someone, well, you know, Blue would have to have either, you know, corrected or something. But I think it was, you know, they used the term gay, and I think they meant for you know, men,
for
and you know,
guys.
not the general term, but yeah,
Yeah,
it can be used as a general term.
yeah.
And if that happened, I would not have been like as surprised or shocked, like what, like it would have made sense if they went that route or changed it. But yeah, like just her reaction, like maybe it's just the actor or the direction of it.
Yeah.
It really just seemed like she was just so shocked and taken aback by you know the Abby's costume.
Yeah, I was like,
towards the party.
yeah,
And I was like, oh, and then even like what, right, I think right when they were at the house together alone, in the room, like the first conversation, oh, I have a secret too, and he gets excited, and I was like, oh, is her secret also because she's you know, she's gay? But they kind of, you know, they kind of evolved it very quickly, like, no, it's not because actually it's because she likes, you know, Simon. But like at that point I was just like, oh, is this
like, oh, yeah, exactly. yeah I thought she was going to like talk more about that, but then it was because she likes Simon more.
No, but yeah, that was one detail of the movie that did stick out to me.
Okay, cool.
But yeah, I don't know if it's just the fault of the direction of the acting, but yeah, it was just like maybe intentional misguiding, but
it could have been.
It was there, and I was just like, oh, I kind of like, you know, took the bait, and you know, nothing came out of it.
I definitely took the bait. I did a double take. I was like, wait a minute. I paused, and I was like, wait a minute. No. I started thinking about like what's going to happen in the rest of the film.
And why? And what makes sense, right? Why these two people, you know, different sex, were very close to each other without having to been romantically involved at all, right? Well, you know, besides just one guy's gay, maybe the other, you know, the girl's also lesbian. Like, oh, okay, that's why they're you know, they can hang out and not feel, you know. But no, it just, yeah, they can still be, you know, friends, you know, and whatnot, even if they were, you know, straight and whatnot. But it just, I would have not questioned the outcome if she did come out, right? Right. Just because of what they've shown.
Yeah.
Already.
Exactly. And then something else that I thought this is a very, very small thing. But near the end of the film, when he puts the number of days before graduation.
Yeah.
He writes 17, right? I don't know if you remember the scene.
He does, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so he rewrote the 1. Like, you could just erase the 7 or the 8 and put a 7, right? Like, unless he updates it per week or something. But like, if you're putting a day counter, you're probably updating it per day, right? Like, I wouldn't imagine you're updating for like, unless you're updating it like there's a weekend or something, and then like you gotta like you forgot to update.
He just wanted to do the whole thing, wipe the whole thing, just not one number, just easy.
Anyway, it's a really small thing, like super small thing. But I was like, why is he rewriting the 1? You could just erase the 8 and put a 7. Like, that's more work you're doing for yourself. Anyway,
it's a minor.
Like that was a super small thing that I don't know why.
Oh, bothered you.
it kind of did. I was like, this guy's really inefficient. So anyway,
another thing, I think we should also talk about good things about the movie later. But there's one other gripe I have about the movie. Was at the end, right, where he's waiting for whoever Blue was, right, to come onto the Ferris wheel. And my problem was that he's kind of forced. I feel like he was forcing Blue to come out into the open, right? And there's this whole scene in the parking lot where he was like, "Oh, it's my thing to decide, and you know, my thing to, you know, to reveal, and my personal." Right? He was talking to Martin, right? When Martin, says, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't think it. You know, I didn't think it would happen. You know, this would have effects." Like, yeah, you didn't think because it's all, why is it all about you? It should be my thing, right? And then he does this whole thing with the whole, the Ferris wheel, where everybody, the whole school is out there at the carnival, right? Like waiting. And I feel like that kind of, forces, we later learn it's Bran, but it forces Blue into a very uncomfortable situation to reveal himself, in in a when he clearly wasn't, at least throughout the emails, wasn't comfortable to doing that.
That's
Yeah, it made
true.
for a big hurrah moment, but I feel like it should have been more personable. Like I wouldn't have it, like I thought it would have been like, oh yeah, it goes the the carousel goes round and round, it doesn't happen, and then maybe later on they go
Like
secretly or quietly.
there's no like crowd.
Right, no crowd, like the whole school is not there, like cheering on, waiting, just watching. Like I think it should have been more personal between just him and Bram, just not like him, like waiting, making this public spectacle. I feel like it should be more private,
Right.
especially like after he said the whole thing, like, oh, it should be my thing, like, and it should have been like like it's my thing to decide to like reveal it, and it's it's only to me. I don't I choose to do it. He's forcing Blue to come out pretty much, right? And then Blue comes out because I feel he feels inspired, but I just feel like from the email, Blue becomes a very personal, very hider, and I think it'd be okay if you revealed it maybe at a later point in time, and maybe that that's just extending the movie up a little bit more, or just showing showing the car scene going to Blue and then you go to high school. Maybe later Blue reveals that he's gay later. But I feel like the confession part, right? It should be more personal, more private between the two, and then later they, he becomes more comfortable with revealing it. I just,
that's a good point.
Just bothered me. Just the whole conversation that he was just revealing, and I feel like he forced, even though it was Blue's decision to come out open, but it's just like he made that situation happen, right? And I don't know, it just felt weird to me that this kind of happened. I wanted to be more private and personal for the confession, not to be this one big public spectacle. And just felt weird, almost kind of cringy, like the whole school was cheering for him. Like I felt bad for him that it didn't happen. That's just my portion. I just didn't like that whole open, like, oh yeah, cheers, it's a triumphant moment, yeah, for sure, right? But it was kind of weird that it kind of happened that way. Just like out in the public and open when these things are very personal and very private. I feel.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. I didn't think about that at all, but you bring up a really good point. He kind of made it a public event. It's like, I'll be at the Ferris wheel, and posted it online, and everyone's like, oh, yeah, let's.
Or maybe refer to like a code or something like that only him and Blue would know, right? And then this way it's not as public in the open, right? It can still be that Ferris wheel, and then Blue joins him. But I just didn't like that. It was like, a public spectacle.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I actually I didn't think about that at all, but I mean, you gotta make it a happy ending. Go off with a bang, last hurrah. Dramatize it a bit. Like if it had just been private, like there was no crowd, maybe it's just his friends. Like it could have been just his friends.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And then plus Martin, who just comes in, it's like happens to come on, and then like, here's my money, last ride's on me, blah blah, whatever.
Yeah,
that might have been a more endearing way to do it rather than like be a whole public thing. But yeah, especially considering you mentioned the fact that like it's his decision how he wants to come out, not like it's not someone else's way,
Right.
And this one kind of forces Blue to like come out to everyone when he when he approaches the wheel. So yeah, that's a good point. That's it. Yeah, very valid point. Very valid point.
I just thought it would be more private affair, or after the whole public spectacle, it doesn't work as planned, and then later on, or something happens. Like,
yeah.
The public dies down. It's just very few people at the fair left, or just something around where it's just more private, right?
More
That's
private,
why I think so.
Do you did you anticipate that it was going to be, what's his name, Bram, yeah.
Bram. I did not. I did not know it was Bram. I mean, it was definitely. I was. This is kind of like a mystery movie too, like the way that they kind of handled it.
Yeah.
And I personally like that aspect of it, right? They kind of kept us in the dark, and
I did too. I also liked how like every time he thought it was someone, it would like he would project that person, their face into the That was really nice.
I really like that aspect too. Yeah, that's also comment about that. That's like one thing about the movie that I really enjoy. That how like every time that he thought someone, he put their face like texting and whatnot. And it makes sense, right? You know, you always imagine someone you like communicating with you, and he put a face to the name, and I like really enjoy that. You know, he really bought into it and he was really hoping for either person, and I think. I don't know if it's true. I mean, maybe it's just me overlooking, but I think every time it was just a mystery. I feel like it was the gardener, or the body shape, like the square. It's just like as a placeholder until he filled it up with somebody. Right. Like with the Bram, or with the waiter, or with the other pianist. So I think I did like the aspect, and it kept the movie guessing. I liked how every time it was all shot down, even though there's like different parts that kind of made sense for him to take the lead on. He kind of connected the dots, but sometimes the dots just didn't connect as well. But his first guess was right.
First guess was right. That's correct. But then we were misled because he ran into them, went into him with the girl, and people were like, "Oh, that's not him." And
he gets heartbroken.
Yeah.
But I like that mystery. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like sometimes people who try to hide it or get too into the moment. But it was funny. It's just like one clue about the Oreos, right? Kind of like, oh, is it?
I liked how before Blue was revealed, like how Martin came up and he was like, "I'm Blue," and I was like, "That's complete. That's not." Do you remember that? Like right before Blue revealed himself, Martin was like, "Hey, I'm Blue."
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, "Lols, good one, Martin." And then I love how Simon was didn't even buy it at all. He's like, "You're not Blue."
Yeah, it's like, no, you're not.
And he's like, "I'm not." But here's one last ride, So.
Yeah, he tries to be a redeemable character at the end, and try like he didn't mean it, and it was pretty scummy what he did. But teenagers and all, and he was definitely on the rough end of being bullied.
Yeah.
But I thought that was like when he did, I didn't buy it. It was a short, funny comedic moment, especially when he got shot down.
Yeah, I mean, his parts, his role was that, he added the comedy part to this film. Essentially, that was.
Oh, definitely.
That was his. What his role was, comedic relief, I guess, or comedic cringe.
He's the antagonist and the comedic relief. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess he's I wouldn't say he's the primary antagonist. I think. I think the primary.
I mean, he kind of starts the whole thing, right? Like his.
I mean, yeah, he was the call. He was the call to action. He was the call to action, but I think the antagonist in this film was more internal, coming to terms of who you are and being
who he is and revealing it,
being comfortable with that. I think it was very much more internal than external. I think Martin was. He was antagonistic, but I don't think he was the primary. He was the call to action. He was that antagonist who spurs the hero's journey, if you will. But
he's very ever present, right? Because his
he's blackmailing him.
yeah, and that's why I feel like that he is at least a major. I mean, I agree.
I feel like you're right. Would you say he's the primary? I wouldn't say he's the primary.
Yeah,
because the climax is
be the primary. Yeah, because he doesn't get he redeems, and it's not like Simon vanquishes him, overcomes him and beats him, right? It's he ignores him more, right.
The antagonist is the secret in the very beginning when it was revealed. Yeah.
Right. Primary, but I feel but I think Martin is definitely one a major, and maybe not primary, but he's he's definitely a force that is
he's antagonistic.
It opposes Simon, and later big Simon's life changed. Does a very big 180, right? And that moment is oh wow, he doesn't really suffer much consequence for the action except that he feels guilty himself.
Yeah.
Right, and we kind of see that he's not a bad guy. He's just overthinking at the moment. There was this one point where I thought it was going to get really, really dark, where I thought he was, because he didn't answer the calls, and I was like, oh my gosh, are they really
he's going to commit suicide? You think he was going to, I that was a bit of thought.
I would have seen it
I
coming. Like,
was
if this guy makes a fool of himself in front of the whole school because he
yeah
claims his love doesn't love him, right? And I was like,
yeah.
oh, dramatic. I would not like.
But
Yeah,
then
it could have made
if
a
it had
quick
gone
turn.
that route, then it would have been
T-
like so basically his secret would have gone with him, right? Unless he like revealed it and then he
Often.
committed
Yeah,
off.
but then
Yeah,
there will be no
100%.
redemption, right? And then he'll be really like people like, oh, maybe he just like we don't want to have that messaging though, right? Like, oh, like yeah, like
Yeah,
people killing themselves and whatnot. But it would have taken like a darker turn for the movie, maybe
yeah,
even like taking away the message from the movie, right?
yeah,
Like, about suicide and whatnot,
yeah,
and definitely not be lighthearted anymore.
yeah.
But yeah, like as you said, like if he did, like he could have taken the secret or revealed it, but then at that point he would not have been redeemed, and it would just
I mean, to be fair, like the now that I think about it, like Martin not accepting anyone's calls is similar to how Simon was rejecting everyone when he got outed. Um,
mm,
Very much like internal. Like I just don't want to like talk to anyone.
yeah,
Let it like hopefully the whole thing just like blows over sort of thing.
right. Yeah, that's true. It's kind of like a reflection, right, of how someone who is um, heterosexual will deal something with a situation that's kind of embarrassing to them, right? But
Yeah, like just
very different.
embarrassment in general. Like if you're outed for something, if you're just like a laughing stock of like the school, like how would you react? I feel like for me it would have I probably would be like not really want to talk about it
Right,
as much. Kind of just like especially like in teenage years. Yeah,
right,
you're just
right.
like yeah, you don't want to detract too much attention. Just like you know play it like just pretend that hopefully it doesn't exist and it'll blow over and then things will go back to normal.
Mm-hmm.
Mm. But nowadays, yeah, I would try to talk about it because like I don't want to like keep it in
Bottled up,
bottled
right?
up
Yeah.
for too long. But back then, yeah, I that's totally like an understandable reaction. Um, so
Totally agree.
yeah.
Totally agree with that. Yeah.
Um,
Did you see Martin is a bit more sympathetic at the end though, or did you?
yeah, yeah, I saw. For me, I think he was trying. Um,
Yeah.
like there was a scene where where Simon was like, you don't. He was telling Martin uh, like you took that away from me, the chance to like reveal like this my secret. It should have been my choice, not
Yeah.
like anyone else's. And I think Martin was trying to like he was trying to apologize. Like he was, yeah, um, trying to like apologize. And for me, like that's redeemable. So,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, he bought the last ride, right? So, was it for that
That's
last
true.
ride? Blue wouldn't. Well, I mean, Blue could have still come like afterward, but it wouldn't have been as dramatic. Like they're on top of the
Yeah.
world, Ferris wheel. Um, so yeah, I think Martin's character was redeemable. I would forgive him if I were in Simon's shoes, but like I said, whether or not Simon actually does is don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Well, I mean, even though it was, he was trying to keep, right, he kind of, allowed Simon to now be open up, right,
hmm
and be, truly who he is without having to be in fear or in guilt
hmm
uh, about who he is and living.
yeah,
But it was a very bad turn, like in terms of like how it happened, but it allowed him to be free,
yeah.
right?
That's true. I mean, it kind of like rushed everything. I don't think it was like in his
Yeah.
timeline to do that, but eventually, yeah, he came to accept it and embrace it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, what was his plan? Original plan was to go to LA and then
LA,
live his
yeah,
days
and
here,
to
right?
navigate, yeah,
He had
yeah,
the whole dance number.
yeah. And then he's like, not. I like at the end he was like,
Maybe not.
not that gay. It was like pretty interesting. I was like, I think it was, yeah, I think it was playing off stereotypes, and
Yeah.
being like, oh yeah, like just because I'm gay doesn't mean that like I fit into these stereotypes.
Right.
Yeah,
Right. That's
he's
true.
like, I'm just like a regular person, just like you. Like going
Yeah.
back to the theme of the beginning of the movie and the end.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, going into stereotypes, I think it was funny at the beginning when he was trying to find out who Blue was. He's like, "Oh, I just need to find the Game of Thrones fan, right?" And then they show people who like obviously like nerdy, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, we all I think they're trying to pair someone with someone who's like really good looking, athletic right now. But it's kind of funny that it could have been any one of these people, right? Who could have been, right? And then what have Simon said? It was like somebody who he did not expect an image of, or who wasn't as conventionally attractive, right?
Yeah.
Was actually Blue. What if there was someone with acne and nerdy glasses and whatnot, or just like real Game of Thrones stuff. It could have been anybody, right? But I just thought it was funny. Again, playing to the stereotypes, and this is like a movie, so they want to have the main leads and the main romantic interest be like attractive.
Everyone's attractive, right? Everyone's happy and attractive. Yeah.
It's kind of funny. It's kind of like a Cinderella thing. Like, oh yeah, if anyone, it's just they're showing this different people. It's like, oh, we definitely know it's not it because if you paired it off the main lead with someone like this, it's just
right.
Wouldn't be good. But they put two attractive people together, and just the romantic leads and yeah. But another that was that far. I was just like, it could have been anybody. What if it was actually,
Yeah.
how was have Simon reacted at that point if it was like somebody who he did not maybe find as attractive? He started falling in love with Blue because the conversations, the email, but like physical, like when you first looked at him, what do you then maybe not, I don't know, but he's obviously imagining things with Bram and the other other people there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would have been funny, I think, if those guys was to be like, and then you get that top of the Ferris wheel, and Blue is like, "Are you surprised it's me?" or something like that, or like, "Do you something along the lines like, do you still love me?" and Simon's like, "Yeah," like he just like a deep pause for dramatic effect, and says, "Of course." And then they, I guess, they kiss, but for added hurrah. But it would have been funny if that was like his reaction was like the audience's reaction. It was like similar. It's like, oh wait, you're not like conventionally attractive.
Yeah.
Do I still like you? Because like he did say I love him without ever meeting him or seeing him. And now that could have just been because of like first love, right? Like it's like have these feelings for someone, you're kind of projecting an image of what they look like,
right,
to sort of fantasize like this romance. But yeah, it would have been. I think it would have been hilarious if they went to like, oh yeah, we're going back down to realist, like down to earth. It's like your fantasies aren't always going to be true. Like the person that you think is really attractive isn't necessarily going to be that attractive. So then, what do you do then?
That's true. That's true. Do you think throughout how would you feel? I mean, if Bram was more present in the movie, or do you like how they handled it in terms of like they introduced him at the beginning, set the clue, and just
I think they. Yeah, I think the way they handled it was fine because I did like the whole like mystery aspect. So like, it was like I didn't expect that it was going to be Bram, either. So it was a nice, pleasant surprise for it to happen. I think him not being around as much was perfectly fine because there was so many other things that were happening. So, yeah, like it would have been all right. Like I think the way that they executed that Bram's role in the movie was fine.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think like maybe in this instance, I was actually more okay with the fact that the romantic. I mean, it's not that the movie was really focusing on like who the actual person is. It's him in his relationship with Blue, right? Not with him in relationship with Bram, right? It's him trying to figure out who Blue was.
Yeah.
So I think I'm just saying like in this instance, I was okay that the romantic, the other side that meant the partner, right, was not present in the movie. It didn't have to be, right? I mean, we got bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah.
How like that Oreo comment and how they have like looking at each other, right? and that was, they kind of let us on, and then they kind of had, the scene of him with the girl kind of threw us off. But he wasn't really present in the movie, but there were some parts where he was in the movie, right? Like at the Halloween party, or just sitting at the lunch table. It's just like it's flowered in, but it wasn't as obvious or as in your face, right? And I appreciated that, right? Like they still kept it a mystery, and didn't kept us guessing who it could have been. It could have been anybody, right? But yeah, I think in this is like, I think if it was maybe in any other film, I might have been more like, oh, I wish like the romantic lead was, or the not lead, the romantic partner would have been more present or shown more. But I think how they kind of handled it, I liked how they they filter out to the faces, and just how he was revealed at the end, and it kind of made sense to me, right? I bought into it. I liked, I was comfortable with who it was. Like, oh, yeah, it made sense. It's Bram. Okay, he was hiding it before. Now he's okay to reveal it. But yeah, I feel like it was okay that they did that, like not having to be like scattering clues about. He didn't have to like say all these clues. Oh, I like it. He doesn't have to throw away comment on like in Game of Thrones. It's just it was there.
Yeah,
it was fine.
Yeah.
What I did find kind of strange, though. I mean, yeah, I'm sure it's just I'm a very, very minority, and maybe he's mixed race, right? But he's like, oh, I'm gay, I'm black, I'm Jewish. I was like, wow, that's like rolling everything into one.
I remember that. Yeah. Surprise.
And I don't know, maybe like the Jewish comment was there to throw people off, because people don't really think of black people as being Jewish, but he could have been mixed race, or they're from maybe some other circumstance. But I think that was just kind of like there to throw people off, like, oh, I'm Jewish as well. But it just was not expected, right? Like when we think of someone's Jewish, more Caucasian like, or more tan skin, not someone who's black. But just interesting to note that he threw all these things out there. I was just like, they're pushing all these minorities together into one. But yeah, I thought that was just interesting.
Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to talk about from the film. I think the chemistry of all the characters was fine. I think, nothing felt too overacted or forced in terms of like the acting parts. I mean, the parts that were like overacted were from Martin, but that was like his character, so that was fine. Like that was intentional. It was perfectly okay. But yeah, I think
his portrayal.
Yeah. Yeah, the film didn't feel too long either. Like it felt like it was almost 2 hours, but it didn't feel like that. It kind of like went by pretty quickly, which is a good thing.
Yeah, I agree. I was pretty much engaged with the whole story. Like I was not like bored at all.
Yeah,
I think it's just like the mystery element where you're trying to find out who it is and his own elements. Other parts, maybe seem overreacting, but I never really made me feel bored. Just maybe like, what's happening here? Like, but I was always engaged. It never felt drawn out.
Yeah, it didn't feel drawn out, which is good. It progressed really well. Like it flowed pretty well.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of like a sort of like almost like a breath of fresh air in terms of like compared to the previous films that we've seen, because this one's more comedic. Like it has more comedy toward it, and I feel like a lot of the more recent previous films that we've watched haven't been, in this genre. So they've been more dramatic, like dramas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would call this personally comedic. I mean, there was like comedic moments like scattered, but I feel like it was more of like, it was not heavy drama. It was like
lighthearted. It was like,
it's a lighthearted drama, like with humor sprinkled in. I wouldn't, but it's definitely lighter than the things that we watched before.
Yeah.
But personally, I wouldn't call it a rom-com. At least compared to the rom-coms that we have watched already, I feel like this is a lot more lighter. And it just, it's kind of like, I would say like describing a Marvel movie, right? Like a Marvel movie is not really, it's like more action superhero, right? Flick, but has humor in it, right? Like that makes people laugh and come. I wouldn't really call a Marvel movie a comedy, right? Same thing with this. I wouldn't call it, even though it says romantic, I wouldn't even call this a comedy. I just a lighthearted drama.
Yeah.
Coming to age movie, right? With humor sprinkled in to make us laugh and appreciate, the characters and make us empathize with them.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. That's true. There weren't like a lot of like humorous moments. It was more of like light. Just tone is very lighthearted compared to like previous films that we had seen.
Right.
Or
Right.
more like recent films that we have seen. I thought this is actually this movie spawned a series called Love Victor,
Mm,
and it's set in the
that's
same
true. It did.
it's set in the same universe too. So
Oh, that's interesting.
it's pretty interesting how that occurs, and I think the guy who plays Simon is in one of those episodes. Like he
Comes back.
comes back. Yeah.
That's
Um.
interesting.
So yeah, fun
I guess
fact.
is it the same storyline where he's trying to hide it? I guess it is, right? Yeah.
Similar, I think.
Or come to
I
terms.
didn't read too much into it, but yeah, I think it's similar, like coming
Yeah.
of age, coming to terms of who you are, sort of story.
Apparently, this was one of the. That's the first film by a major Hollywood studio to focus on a gay teenage romance, which makes sense. I don't think there's ever anything previously, right? At least according
Oh
to
yeah,
Wikipedia.
yeah. Did
But
very
yeah,
well at the box office. It's good.
yeah, right. Like because it's kind of like a new. I think I want to say genre, but like a subgenre, like
Yeah,
focusing on gay couple or someone who's coming of age
yep,
who is gay.
yeah,
And trying to come to terms with it, right? Which is a story that maybe hasn't really told before, which has probably all the same plot points as a regular romantic story, but just a different flavor and different twist to it.
yeah,
Um,
for sure. Cool. Like, how would you rate the film? Like,
yeah,
is there anything else that you want to talk about?
I think we covered a lot already.
Yeah,
Like
I
all
think
the
so. There's
points.
nothing
I think
else that I. Yeah, there's nothing else that I at least want to talk about.
yeah,
I think we've covered
covered
it.
most of it. I mean, I think we ribbed it a lot, but this
Yeah,
movie
we
definitely.
did. We did.
um, like I mean, their sticking points, right? No movie is perfect and whatnot. And, it's just being maybe part of its genre, right? And
Hmm.
what our expectations were, maybe we're a little bit different. But I
Yeah,
feel like overall this movie wasn't terrible, right? I feel like maybe it could have brought something a little bit more, like substance
hmm,
to the movie. But have more complex. Again, this is I think a first foray for a romantic kind of drama for that focuses on a gay lead.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and it does a good job of doing that. Just telling a romantic story, just kind of like placing it with just a different nuance
yeah,
to it. And I enjoyed again as we said it was an engaging movie and whatnot, but there's just a few plot points. Um, or a few areas, the plots that really kind of stuck out and that I would have improved upon, especially the friend's reaction and then the ending. I think the second half. I mean, the first half, I think I was kind of buying into it. It's like, oh yeah, this is nice. I like how it's going and whatnot. I really like the point where he revealed to Abby, like, oh,
yeah.
it just says to her, I'm gay. Like he was uncomfortable, and he's like, you know what, I'm gay. And
Hmm.
he reveals it to a friend, and it's just like, I really appreciate that subtle moment, right? But this is definitely coming to age, again, there's just some points where I think could have been crafted better and whatnot. That took me out of it. That would have we discussed already. So in terms of a rating, I'd probably give like a 7.5. I think,
Hmm.
because I mean, I would definitely recommend this movie, right?
Yeah,
Like if someone wants to like having a movie to watch or a romantic movie to watch, or as part of the LGBT community and wants to have examples of movies with people of the LGBT Q community, with leads and whatnot that involve stories in them, I would definitely recommend this movie. And even just as a romantic story, right? It's a good story, right? With him trying to figure it out. There's just
yeah,
some parts of it which I definitely think could be better improved upon, which kind of
yeah,
took me out of the story and which I think could have been executed a little bit better. Um, I guess I said, major parts is just that I think that the whole ending, I probably would, the second half or the last third maybe of the movie, just the way it was kind of like tied up or portrayed, I just didn't like it, and I think it could have been improved into it could have been a much better movie,
yeah,
if done handled differently.
yeah.
But it's still enjoyable. Still recommend it. If anyone asks me, hey, should I watch the movie? I said, yeah, I think you should watch it.
Mhm.
As long as you're not bothered by the other people, conservatives who are bothered by the theme. But if you're not, then Yeah,
Yeah.
go ahead and watch it. I think it's a good movie to and it definitely has a good storyline, and it's and engaging, and to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I think you basically said most of the points. I think for me, I'd probably I was gonna give it an 8, but when you mentioned the ending and how it didn't fit with like how his message about like, oh, it's my choice, right? Um, but then he's like kind of calling out. Well, Blue didn't have to do it that way, but like almost like pressuring him to like
Yeah,
do it. Yeah, that
everyone
one
felt bad for the guy, right? Like,
I did
oh,
feel yeah, like, it kind of that part actually like that since you actually mentioned that it's a very valid and good point. It um rubbed me off the wrong way. So yeah, the ending of it was it could have been better, like for sure. So instead of 8, it'd probably be like also 7.5. Yeah. Um, but more or
all
less
right.
what you said was what I agree on. I think the story is engaging enough. It's simple, but like it's fresh
Yeah,
because you know the main character is gay. So like at least this is the first time I've seen like a lead a romantic story being gay, which is really like refreshing to watch.
No,
Um,
definitely, definitely.
and it kind of like I mean that was the whole premise of it. Like that spurned the whole plot with identity, and the whole like why there's why he was blackmailed in the first place.
Right.
So it was a yeah, like I said, it was like a very simple story, but with a unique twist to it, being and it being fresh. The acting was good. I think it was lighthearted enough. Um, it didn't feel it was almost 2 hours, but it didn't feel like 2 hours at all. And yeah, I would recommend it too. I think if you're interested in like um, just like romantic, like rom coms
More
or
rom coms, yeah, more movies, dramedies. Yeah,
yeah, dramedies,
dramedies.
drama drama coms. Yeah, so um, I would recommend this film for sure. Um, or if you just want to feel a good movie, yeah, this film will do that for you for sure.
That's true. That's
Um,
true.
yeah, that's about it. That's all I got to say.
So we both rated it 7.5.
Yes, sir. Was going to rate it an 8, but you make a really good point about the ending that I hadn't thought about. So, I mean, the quips I had with it were like there were some parts that were over dramatized.
Yeah,
Um,
forced. For me, like felt forced and
uh,
unnecessary.
yeah, and then yeah, that and then the ending um, took it down a bit,
All right.
but
Still a good movie. We still recommend it. Just yeah.
yeah, yep. That's it from us.
All right.
Next week at 11 a.m. Pacific time, we're going to be talking about a film called Parasite.
Ooh.
Um, it won the Academy Award 2 years ago, I think. Wait, yeah, 2 years ago, 2019.
Wow.
I think, right? Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. No, I remember I was in the office when that was being discussed.
I remember
Oh
that.
wow.
Yeah, I also remember it. Wait, was it 2020? No.
No, no. Oh, maybe
I think it was 2020 actually. 2020 Academy Award winners.
it's 2019 movie, but it might have been in
Oh yeah, no, it's
2020.
2020. It's 2020. Yeah, so it was a 2019 movie. It won the Academy Award in 2020. Yeah. Yeah. So it's the best picture for the 2020 Academy Awards last year.
Oh,
And yeah,
High
that's
expectations.
high expectations. That's what we're going to be talking about. We have a YouTube channel. It's called Yipatrick. I should link it because I typically do, and gotta stick with that. That system, I suppose, tradition. Check out.
You don't have to if you don't want to.
Nah.
But definitely why.
And then yeah. Hope you guys, whenever you see this, hope you guys have a wonderful day. We'll see you again next week, 11 a.m. Pacific time, on Sunday, and we're gonna be discussing Parasite. So,
Woo.
all right. Catch you guys then.
Bye.
Bye. See ya.